Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle. You've got Dean and Rob. And Dean, I took a phone call from somebody this morning that was just absolutely pissed because they keep getting these phone calls from voice search activation departments, voice search departments, and there's a lot of scams that are going on around that. Now, I want to be very clear. I don't think that voice search is a scam if it's done correctly because it stacks up inside of the local SEO.
So just what do they mean by scam? That they think that the whole comment that the phone calls are scam, or the concept of voice search is a scam. I mean, we've heard that before. That people don't think the voice search is a real thing. But so I wasn't. Just a little bit of context for me, if you don't mind.
I think it depends on the person. This person was so upset and pissed because they keep calling. She says no, and they keep calling back, and they say no, she says no again. They call back, and they keep calling from these robocalls that are phone numbers that look like they're local to them. So they think it's a customer that's calling in, and I think that's what sparks a bunch of frustration. Is they can't even tell that it's going to be a spam call or a sales call in there.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting you say that because with my other businesses that I've got. I on one of my phones, on one of my cell phones, if I make a call to an area, then pretty soon it comes back that there's a call coming from that area, and I'm not sure if it's a customer from that area. And then I pick it up. So how are they? So is there? I'm going to go into the conspiracy theory.
That's conspiracy theory 101 right there, man.
I'm telling you, man, because it's like I made a phone call to Fort Collins, Colorado, let's say, and then pretty soon I'm getting calls back from Fort Collins, Colorado, and they're the robocalls. How the hell did they know that I did that? First off, so or was it just a coincidence that that's where the call happened to be from? I mean, it's just So I get her frustration because you can't seem to get rid of them. You tell them to take you off the call list. You block their calls if you can, but if you specialize your cell phone. But if you're a business with a landline or a business where you can't block numbers that you don't know who they are.
No,
because you don't know if you're going to miss a call or sale. You just can't do that.
As I told her, we have a love-hate relationship with these calls about voice search. Now, they might say voice search registration. They might say voice search department. They might say voice search activation. They might say that your Google business profile is not complete or whatever piece that they're trying to trigger on there. And one thing I want to make very clear is Simply Be Found does not make any phone calls. We don't have staff making phone calls. We don't hire any third parties to make phone calls.
No, and we don't. Yeah, that's the key. We don't hire somebody else to solicit on our behalf in any way, shape, or form.
No, I just sent the call to voicemail. I should have taken it, seen if it was one.
Oh, we tried to capture one of them, which I find is interesting. I've tried to record those calls so I have it for my own reasons, and they hang up as soon as you hit this call is being recorded. Have you had that happen? Have you tried to?
I have only taken one call recently in the last few weeks, and they caught me off guard. I was having a really bad day, and I chewed their ass. I told them that I was going to use it on the actual Simply Be Found Huddle podcast, and they acted like they were fine with us using it. But I mean, I totally chewed ass on that call. Yeah. And I was like, they tried saying stuff like you only had limited time to be able to make a certain decision. You only had, you could only register so many times a year, and if you didn't do it, you're going to be screwed. And there was a lot of stuff. I mean, you listen to that call that I did, and I mean, I didn't handle it in the most professional way, which is why I'm not going to publish that out there. You and I decided it wouldn't be worth the backlash that came from that. But I mean, I am so frustrated of hearing from business owners that are experiencing these calls and being what I want to say is lied to or misled inside of what voice search really is.
Well, let's talk about our listings engine for just a second. That's our aggregator that puts all the businesses are with us out there on all the networks, the 1,000+ networks that we're directly and indirectly talking to, and they get these calls, and we get a message on support or through our chat process saying, "How come we're not being found?" Well, the problem is they're using that same technique for everybody. I'm saying you're not being found. They're
Oh,
going,
you're
well,
saying that the person that made the phone call. I thought
yeah,
you were saying that. I
yeah.
thought your
Oh, I'm
dashboard
sorry.
was
Well,
saying
no,
that you're not being found. I was like, huh?
yeah, no, it's the sales pitch is coming. They're telling everybody they're not. I mean, and so the people that are with us, folks, we can show you. You know, you can see that it's going being submitted when you're, on our dashboard. You can see you're being submitted, but they're all like going, "Well, we're being told that we're not being there." So these sales, these high pressure sales, you have to do something. And people, and then business owners, I find it really frustrating sometimes that they are with somebody like us or whatever, and then they think that system's not working for them because they're listening to the sales call. I mean, it's just one of those, I mean, I get the sales technique kind of thing.
Well, let's look at AlexaBusiness.com.
Right.
And I'm going to pick on them for a minute. They have the same kind of disclosure we have at the very bottom saying we're not affiliated with Alexa. We don't have any of that, but they used Alexa in their name.
Right.
They have a search function inside of their website. So if you pull up AlexaBusiness.com and it says search to see if you're inside of our database. They make it seem like you're searching to see if you're being found on Alexa inside of that website. But really all it's doing
you still have those allergies.
Damn allergies.
You still have those things going on, buddy. Hopefully we're gonna get past the season here pretty soon for you.
Gosh, I set up a whole entire new play system outside, and it totally tore me up.
Oh, Lordy.
But going back to that piece, sorry about that. And see, this is where we're live and uncut.
Right.
Anyway, when you go and you search on AlexaBusiness.com, they make it feel like you're searching on Alexa, but in reality, all you're doing is searching their database, and that means that you're not a customer or a member of theirs. And that means that you're going to come up with the zero. That would be no different than if Simply Be Found put a search function and said, find out how you're doing on search. And it comes back and going, well, you're currently not listed with Simply Be Found on this network, this network, this network, this network, this network. It'd be the same exact thing. And all we did is look to say, hey, have we taken your money and are we the ones managing your listings? Yeah. That's all they're doing. And but to a business owner that doesn't know any better, and that doesn't have the tech skills, they don't understand that's what's happening.
Yeah, well, the whole digital world, that whole concept is kind of foreign to a lot of business owners because they're so busy just doing their business, and they're kind of listening, depending on people like us to share and make things available to them, make it knowledgeable, and so I can't, it's not the fault of the business owners getting these calls, but the deceptiveness of the sales pitch is what I get frustrated with. And that's a great point about are you with us and giving us your money? Well, no, you're not. So therefore you get zeros on everything. I haven't really dug into their website and looked at that. I know that you have with the data with our science data team, but it's just trying to see what things are going on out there. But holy cow.
Well, when I lost my shit, and I mean, I lost my shit. I chewed this guy's butt.
I can confirm that, everybody. I listened to that, and Rob.
So if you ever want to know what happens when you piss me off, then that's what happens. But it's one of those things to where one of the pieces I'm like, but you're not being truthful to what it is. And he goes, well, this is what sales is about. And tell me if you heard something different, if you remember that part. I know it's been a while since you.
No, that's about right.
But this is how sales has to work. I used to sell bathtubs and used to do X, Y, and Z. And I would go in with a black light and show them all the different particles and all the different stuff that's inside of their bathtub and tell them what they're bathing inside of. Now, the engineer in science type brain I have inside of me is like, well, that shows only color. You're misleading people. That's like people going in and saying, hey, I got to put a water filter inside of your house, and now your water's going to be 100% clean. Because it's so dirty. I mean, I can find stuff I can find microisms in anything that we have on any surface. It doesn't matter how clean it is.
Well, anybody out there, you can go in to get your oil changed. They take a little dip out of your transmission, go fill the grit in this. This is really bad. Well, is it or isn't it? If it's not metal shavings, it's probably not all bad. It's just the dirt that gets in the system. It needs to be flushed every so often. But they're making you. They go, oh, this is really bad. Is it or isn't it? I mean, that's the problem. Is you have to know a little. Unfortunately, you have to educate yourself a little bit
Yeah.
on the process. And I'm not saying that you have to become experts, but be aware of what's kind of happening with your business and how you're out there a little bit. You
Well,
know,
and I think you and I took a total different approach when it comes to Simply Be Found because we didn't want to be put into the same bucket as what some of these other networks are doing and
absolutely.
what our competition's doing. For one, we redid the entire listings engine. We work with over 1,000 networks. Doesn't mean you're going to be listed on 1,000 networks. It means you have the chance of being up to that because the list gets smaller when you're not a restaurant or your doctor's office. There's industry, there's niche specific stuff like contractors. They have their own niche stuff, so they
Right.
might have access more to than the restaurant guy. But it's one of those things to where our network was designed to organically get your business found. It's designed to be able to get yourself to that next level. It's one of those things to where it makes a big difference across.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you just made a special point. You just looked down. I just realized I hadn't put my phone on mute, so I had to make sure that we're not getting interrupted.
I
But
was trying. I was trying to decide if I wanted to grab another spam call, or if they're wanting to be able to sell me my, a vacation package, if they want to give my business a loan, or if it's going to be a voice search scam. Because
but
that's pretty much the
but
only people that I recall.
But you know what? You and I have both been in sales for a long time. We understand. You have to learn some of the human psyche. You know what's the trigger points for people to make a decision, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to make it feel like because the business is a lot of these people's it's their livelihoods. It's everything, and you always have to be thinking. Am I making the best choices for my business? Am I doing all the right things? And so that's what they're triggering on. And it's so easy to say don't have a phobia, but you can't control what you can't control. But just be educated as much as you can on this whole process. So
Well, and we took the approach of being able to educate,
right,
being able to provide over what we think the best solutions are for them. Did it with no salespeople, no phone calls, nothing. I mean, you and I are the closest thing to sales, and we didn't want to be able to go down that road
right,
because inside of sales, you could go down the education piece, you can go down the fear tactic side, or you could go down the whole entire scare stack. I guess fear and scare would be the same, or you can go through and you can just lie through your teeth. Now, it's some kind of combination that gets mixed into there, but just know that we're not the ones making those phone calls to you. And just know that we're not going to call you. We don't do phone calls. All of our
no.
support is done by email and by chat.
In fact, we have a lot of people that get frustrated. We have it on we have a phone number that people can call, but no, we're never there. They have to leave a message or an email address for us to call back. We don't call back. To message them back. I should say through an email process or a chat process. But
Exactly. And I mean, some people get really frustrated with that. Dean, we were just cutting and my internet just went out during that process and I forget where we were inside of the video. I know we were talking about the voice search department activation, how the phone calls, how we don't do them.
Well,
But
I think I was getting ready to say, we talked about no phone calls, and a lot of business owners they get really frustrated because they kind of want that instant that conversation piece to say there's a real person at the other end. You and I are at the other end of the chats. We're at the other end of the emails.
yep,
So we're there. We're just not on the phone. But I think some business owners really appreciate the fact that we're not using up their time by talking to them on the phones. Then we got others that it all depends on the person. My age group, we like that phone touch kind of thing. Your generation, yeah, not as much, kind of thing. So but it's more efficient. Plus, whatever we discuss on the chat is in writing. They know exactly what we're going to do. I mean, there's a trail. If we say something that is incorrect, they can call us out on it.
right.
And
And I've missed stuff. I've missed doing profile reviews or,
yep,
forgot to put something in the right bucket and it didn't got missed. And I've had to be able to eat crow on it and say, I messed up.
yep,
And it's because of the whole entire track record's there. When you keep responding over, I mean, all those conversations and everything are inside of our CRM on the backside.
right.
And there's no difference between our customer support, channels versus our sales channels. I mean, it's all one great big huge piece. So you and I raw, just like this video got messed up. We could keep going on because of internet issues, but it's one of those things to where we do everything inside of our business raw and uncut. We utilize the tools to be able to bring AI into the picture, and we bring some of the best software that we possibly can, which I think is amazing.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I think we bashed on everybody long enough on this. I mean,
I think we have. If you're looking to be able to get your business found on voice search, or want to be able to be able to hang up with confidence, is what Dean would say.
Yep.
On any of these calls, make sure you come join us at simplybefound.com, and you're going to get our honest opinion every single time, and you're going to get access to us. So if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks for joining us on today's podcast.
Yep. Thanks, Rob. That was a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.